Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com. You know, I've always said that there's no such thing as bad publicity. And particularly when you're a public figure, like a performer, somebody who's offering something to the public, you have to be able to take your shots because they're going to come no matter what. Well, that's even more true when you're a critic, because I've always said that critics are basically social parasites. I mean, we only exist because other people do things, and they're the ones who do the work, and then we sit back in our armchairs and tell the rest of the universe how good or how bad it is. And some people just object to the fact that critics exist at all, that there are people who have the nerve to do such a thing. They think that's the height of arrogance to claim that their opinion should be something that anybody else pays attention to or cares about. I understand that. I really do. And I don't argue with it. If that's their point of view, it's their point of view. However, I consider it an honor that over the years, my criticism has excited a certain amount of controversy. And I thought that as an occasional feature, it would kind of be fun to quote some of the more hostile things that have been said about me in various internet chat rooms and places, just to prove, first of all, that I can deal with it because I think it's marvelous. I really do. I'm honored to get the attention. I really am. And second of all, it's fun. And third of all they're doing is promoting what they claim to despise, which I think is the great irony, isn't it? I mean, that's the point. The more they talk, the better it is for me. It doesn't matter whether they like it or hate it. Just as we get comments. I get comments by people who say, everything you hate, I love. I disagree with you. You're horrible. I'm going to go buy everything you despise. Exactly. That's why the artists in question should never be upset if I trash them. And the more I trash them, and the louder I trash them, and the more controversy and comment it excites, the better it is for them. That's how the world works. Because at the end of the day, you have to have confidence. I have confidence that everyone who's in this business, who's looking for music, is smart enough to make up their own minds. Whatever I say, that's the joy of it. That's the fun part. It really is. I get to say what I want, and everyone else gets to do what they want. And so it's all good, healthy fun, isn't it? At least that's what I think. So without further ado, let me turn to some of these lovely comments. I'm not going to read. Some of them are quite long, and, I'm not going to go into them. They claim that I'm long-winded, and they write, War and Peace about how awful I am. Well, here's one by, let's see, because nobody gives their names, which I think is just awful. I still think people should not be allowed to post anything unless they have a real name. I really do. I just feel that way. I think people should have the courage of their convictions. I mean, if I have to attach my name to something I say that's scurrilous about someone, they should afford me the same courtesy. But that's my only gripe, really. So this is O. Rigel 2. These are mostly posted on Reddit, by the way. I mean, I'm sure a lot of you know where and have seen all this stuff. But for some of you that haven't, here's a juicy paragraph that I really love. But the real reason I listen to him, that is me, is that I wish I could make money by bashing performances I personally dislike in an entertaining way. Oops, there's a dangling preposition. What does he dislike in the entertaining way? The performances, or is it the bashing that's entertaining? Well, never mind. Does he like them in an entertaining way? Since we were doing grammar a few videos ago, I just couldn't help but notice that. Anyway, he even ruined jobs he was trusted with because he was a jerk to people and is proud of it. Well, that never happened. I don't know where that came from, but that's okay. If I was that shameless, I probably would not be so egotistical as to delete all the comments to my videos that disagree with my views. But might end up doing that if I get a bloated ego like Hurwitz's. Hurwitz, entertaining, good for some recordings, a terrible person. Well, there we are. So that was fairly juicy. Here's a good one. This is from Alfred_Uruguay. I'm always delighted to get international attention, particularly from places that I don't know much about or haven't been to, or that are sort of off the beaten track, of which, for all you Uruguayans, I don't mean to be dismissive, but Uruguay is sort of off the beaten track. Pardon me. However lovely it may be in many other ways. He writes, Alfred, I only recently started watching his videos. I soon found myself fast-forwarding through his 10 best videos, stopping only to see what he's promoting each time he holds up a new disc. As a result, I've encountered some interesting recordings I might never have heard without his promotion. Kletsky's Beethoven, Dorati's Brahms, but otherwise these reviews contain a lot of rambling and empty, marvelous, marvelous, marvelous. The same is often true of reviews of individual discs, unless he dislikes something. Then you get a lot of horrible, horrible, horrible. Sometimes he manages to be detailed and precise in his observations, but too often you have to sit through a lot of blather before he gets to the point. I've tired of him pretty quickly, and of course the music itself is vastly more worthwhile. Well, actually, I think that's pretty fair. I really do. I can't argue with that. I can't. I have nothing to argue about. I'm sorry if I ramble and blather, but, you know, I hope at least for some of you it's enjoyable blather. But this is my favorite one. This is the pièce de résistance of this batch. I just think this is marvelous. This is from fit_competition 3328 from just a few months ago. And, you know, one of the things I have to note is that some of these things, because everybody's hiding behind their screen names, could well be, I mean, I've seen this happen before. So this happened to be, you know, artists who have been on the receiving end of some rather unflattering criticism, or people who are friends of them. That's a big thing, because remember, artists have entourages, and the job of the entourage is to defend their idol at all costs, or cult members of the, you know, Fort Wengler cult or the whatever cult, you know, Horenstein cult. That was a biggie. But here we go. You ready? David Hurwitz is a disgusting piece of crap. He's vile, rude, and ineducated. I mean, isn't that a delicious irony? I-N-educated instead of, yeah, well, we know what I love that one. In fact, there's a comment in it that's ineducated, LMAO, which just laughed my ass off. So yes, there you go. Anyway, he's the epitome of a bad amateur musician who knows jack shit and thinks he knows it all. He created his own forum because no reputable forum gives him airtime. Well, that's not true. Watching his ugly face on YouTube makes me want to vomit, and his spittle-ridden diatribes about good musicians are worthless and vicious. Glad to be able to write this one back about him. The man is literally the wrong bit that the midwife didn't throw in the trash. Well, I don't know what that means, but I'm sure it's terribly insulting. That's a really juicy one, don't you think? But, you know, I could go on, but I think 3 of them is sort of enough to give you a sample of what's being said in the negative sphere. The positive sphere I don't worry about, because you folks are really very generous and kind, and so are a lot of other people in this very chat room. I'm not trying to provide balance. I only want the juicy stuff, and there's lots more where that came from. So maybe in a few months or so, we'll take a look at some more. We'll see what pops out. We'll see what I can find, because it's always interesting to know what people's opinions are. And believe it or not, when it comes to the nastier stuff, if it's constructive criticism, I really try to take it to heart. I know I ramble sometimes. It bothers me, actually. I'm a great believer in concision. And when you talk extempore, which is what these are, I don't do scripts. I just, you know, it's all off the top of my head. Then, you know, things tend to digress, and I know it can all be tidier. It's a valid criticism. It really is. And there are quite a few others. So it's all good. It's all good, and I just hope you enjoyed hearing some of it in a forum where, you're right, I delete comments all the time because, as I've said, I think the comments are part of the discussion of the work, and I try and keep things on topic for future generations. It's the other reason. And also because some people are just obnoxious, and it's good to get rid of them. It really is. And then I can bring them back here, where I can control the discourse. So keep on listening, friends. Thanks for joining me. Take care.